Sweet faces, welcome to our first week of algebra. I hope you are as excited as I am about this. And with that, we're going to dive in. So we're starting with an expression. Expression is just a fancy way of saying that there is no equal sign. So we're not solving these. We can simplify them, we can expand them, we can distribute them, but we're not going to solve. We're not going to have a final answer for them. So what I wanted you to do with these is we're giving you an expression and I wanted you to write what it would look like down below. So if we take 3 plus z, it looks like 3 plus sign z. A minus 8. Remember, with subtraction and division, the position of the number is important. There is only one correct answer. Now, if we're following the directions, 3 plus z should look like this, but if we wrote it this way, we'd still get the same answer. Not the correct order, but still the same answer. Y divided by 5, you could write either of these ways. 2 times b would be 2b. C more than 4, we would have 4 plus c, or you could do c plus 4. 6 take away x, and that brings us to the end of this first page. Any questions? Bring them with you to class. All right, my loves, welcome to page 2, where we are writing our expressions. As you can see, they are getting a little bit more difficult. We need to really think about what we're being asked to do. So the first one, it says the sum of W and 7 multiplied by 3. So sum tells me that I'm going to be adding W and 7. And if I want to multiply the sum, meaning the answer, by 3, I'm going to have to put parentheses around them so that they get added together before being multiplied. The sum of W and 7 multiplied by 3. Double 6 added to D. If we went to double 6 and then add it to D, it would look like this. Or we could also say 2 times 6 plus D, as long as 6 is doubled before it is added. The product of D and E minus 2. So we have, I'm sorry, not D and E, 9 and E. So we have 9 and E being multiplied together minus 2. Again, if we want this to happen after, we need to make sure that we have parentheses around them so that that is done before anything else. The quotient of V and 4 multiplied by 3. So the quotient of V and 4 multiplied by 3. Or I could do V over 4 times 3. Coming down here, the difference between 5 and U divided by 8. So we have the difference of 5 and U divided by 8. Twice the product of F and 10. So the product means these need to be multiplied, and we're going to double it or do twice. Any questions on these, kiddos? Bring them to class. I know that these are tough. This is probably one of the hardest parts about algebra, but it really helps us have a solid understanding. All right, write the algebraic expression in words. So we could say the product of 9 and t, or t multiplied by 9. Both of those would be correct. 8 plus g, we could say 8 more than g. We can say the sum of 8 and g. And if you have anything else other than that and you're wanting to check in, let me know. Down here we have 8 times h plus 7. So we have the sum, here we go, the sum of h and 7 multiplied by 8. So that tells me that I have to add together h and 7 and then multiply it. The difference between s and 3 added to 6. Or a couple other ways we could say 3 subtracted from S, add the results to 6. We could say the sum of 6 and S minus 3. If you have other options you want to run by me, let me know. 4R plus 2, we could say 4 times R plus 2. We could say the product of 4 and R plus 2. And then over here, J over 5 would just be J divided by 5. J divided by 5. Any questions on these? Bring them with you to class. All right, loves, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of what we are talking about, and this is going to be in a printable that is in the classroom for you. So if you had any trouble, let me know. How many terms are in the expression? We have 1, 2 terms. And what are the variables? The variable is Q. What is the coefficient in the second term? The coefficient is that sticky number. That's my coefficient. What is the constant? 8. Constant doesn't change. How many terms are in the expression? We have 2 terms. What is the constant? The constant is minus 4. What is the coefficient in the first term? The coefficient is 4. What are the variables? The variables are P and Z. How many terms are in the expression? There's 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. What are the variables? The variables are N, Y, and Z. What is the coefficient in the second term? The coefficient is the 9. What is the constant? The constant is plus 10. Any questions on these? Bring them with you to class. All right, based on the given description, write an expression. So these had a lot of options, but I will give you an example. If you have specific answers that you'd like checked, as always, please go ahead and send them to me, bring them to class. 3 terms, so 3 terms, where the second term is a constant, meaning there's no letter with it, and the other 2 have a coefficient of 5 and 4. Coefficient means that it's going to be stuck to a variable. So I have my coefficient here of 5. Oh, I'm sorry, this should be a 4. I got happy with that 5. So I have my coefficients of 5 and 4. I have my constant as the second term. This is just one of many examples. Again, if you want your specific examples reviewed, let me know. 2 terms, 1, 2, where the first term has a variable of D. No other requirements. So I could put a constant here. I can make it a coefficient. I could add a number here. As long as there's a variable of D and there's 2 terms, you are correct. 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, where the coefficients are 2, 3, and 1. 1 you could put, but if we have that variable, we have the letter there, that's telling us that it's 1, right? If we have 2 D's, we have 2 D's, but if we just have D, that means we have 1 D. So I'm going to say a plus and a minus, and I'm going to give it an X, Y, and Z because coefficient implies that there's a variable. In order to be a coefficient, it has to be multiplied by a variable. Over here, 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, where one term has a variable W. We'll put that here. The third term is a constant, plus 6, and the first term has a coefficient of 7. Let's do another constant, and let's do a variable. 2 terms, 1, 2, where the coefficient of the variable V is 6. So I have a 6V, and I'll do a minus 3. There's no requirement, so anything will fit. 4 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, where the second term has a coefficient of 8, and the fourth term has a variable of E. The rest is up to me. Let's do a 2 and a Y, because if it's a coefficient, it has to have a variable. Let's do a 4. Any questions on these? Bring it with you to class. Have a good weekend, mathletes.